Finally, our very last assignment with probability for 9.7c. This will be our very last one. As once again, I want to reiterate to you, when we deal with probability, try to think critically about the situation and try to draw a picture in specific ways, boxing them out. Let's start with an example. Let's say we have 5 payroll checks. Okay, let's do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we want to find out the probability of sending how many of those right and wrong, each possible probability. Well, let's think about how many ways we can send out them all together. When we first send out our first one, there are 5 payroll checks. So there are 5 different ways and we can send out the first one. Then after that, there are 4 left. There are 4 different ways. And then there are 3 different ways, and then there are 2 different ways, and the very last one, there's only one way can send out the last one. So the total number of possible ways we can send out all the payroll checks are 5 factorial. And 5 factorial is 120 different ways we can send out all the payroll checks. Now let's think of how many different ways we can get 5 of them correct. Well, 5 correct ways, all 5 of the payroll checks are sent out correctly. Well, there's only one way. If you think about it logically, there's only one way you can send them all correctly. There's only one possible way. Out of that 120 possible different combinations that we can send out 5 payroll checks. Well, what about 4 correct? Let's think about this logically too. If we sent out 4, right? Let's do this. If we draw a picture, 4 of them are correct. Doesn't it make sense that the 5th one will also be correct? The very last one will have to be correct as well, because we already sent out all 4 payroll checks and they're going to the right person. That means the 5th one has to go to the right person. So actually there is no way in which you can only send out 4 correct payroll checks, because if you send out 4 correct payroll checks, you will be sending out 5 correct payroll checks. What about 3 correct payroll checks? Well, let's think about that one logically too. For me, I find it easiest to kind of draw pictures when I deal with these things. And let's say I'm gonna call them these payroll checks A, B, C, D, and E. And my first combination, let's say A, B, and C are correct. There's also A, B, and D, A, B, and E, right? And then we have A, C, and D, A, C, and E, A, D, and E. So all of those are possibly right payroll checks. And once we get to B, we can have B, C, D, B, C, E. We're starting to see a pattern here. B, D, E. And the last one, C, we can do C, D, and E. From that, if I counted, there are 10 ways in which we can do only 3 correct payroll checks. Another way we can find out that 10 ways is that this is also, since we're only choosing out 3 different numbers, but we don't care about the order, so we are dealing with combinations. So here, 5 choose 3 will give us 10 different ways. Let's talk about what if we got only 2 correct, right? 2 correct different combination. And here also to remind you, when we have these 3 correct ways, right? If I drew a picture, if we have 3 correct, then the amount of incorrect, there's only 2 letters left. And there's only one way that you can send the 2 letters incorrectly, right? Otherwise, there's going to be one chance the other way is going to be correct. So out of here, there's 3 ways that are done that are correct, but then there's only one different way that can do incorrectly. So for this, it's actually 10 times 1. 10 correctly, 1 way incorrectly each time. Let's think about 2 correct ways. So here, if we want to do how many ways can we do it correctly? Well, with our combination, that is 5 choose 2, and then if we think about that, if we have 2 set correct ways, how many are left? Well, there are then 3 paychecks left, and out of those 3, there are then 2 ways in which we can have sent out incorrectly. So we want this times 2, which should give us 20 different ways to send out only 2 correct paychecks. Let's think about last we have 1 correct paycheck. Well, to send out 1 correct paycheck, we can either send out A or B or C or D or E correctly. So then that's 5, right? There's only 5 different ways that you can only send out 1 correct paycheck. And then so we draw our picture here, we have 1 correct. That means we have 4 remaining paychecks. We don't want to think about the last one, because regardless of what the last one is, it will be determined by what the first 3 is. So there are 3 different ways in which we can send out a incorrect paycheck. So then we need to multiply that by 3. But once we send that one out incorrectly, right, then we are left with 2. And then this 2 also gets, and there's another 3 ways that we can send out incorrectly, because the order doesn't matter. So it's 5 times 3 times 3 gets us 45 ways. So then finally, the very last one is how many is if we sent out 0 correct paychecks. Well, we already figured out how many we can send: 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. So out of 120, there's 120 ways. So we just subtract 120 from 1, from 10, from 20, from 45. That should give us only 44 ways we can send out 0 correct paychecks. Let's do another quick one. Let's say we have a shipment of 10 microwaves and 6 are bad. And we want to say a company is going to buy 4 from us, 4 shipments. We want to find out the possibility of only, let's say, all 4 of them being good. Well, here we want to find out the possibility of all of them, of all the good possibilities. So 10 choose 4 is the total amount that you can, the combinations of 4 that you can buy from the store or the shipments. And 4, you want all 4 of them, 4 choose 4 is the possible of 4 out of 4 being good. That leaves 1 out of 210 possible ways, probability of 4 of them being good. What about exactly 2 being bad? Well, only 2, exactly 2 being bad. Well, first we need to multiply. We got to choose out of many choices. There are 10, choose 4. There are, we want 2 good, and with that exactly 2 good, there's also 2 bad. So what are the chances of picking the 2 bad then? We have to multiply that 2. Together, we would get 90 out of 210. It reduces to 3/7. Finally, what is probably at least 2 are good? Meaning we have to have 2 or more that are good. So here, the total number of choices that we can get is on the bottom. 4 choose 3. That is the number possible of 3 of them being good units. And then 6 choose 1. That is also with 3, we need 1 of them being bad. So this is the probability of 3 good units, which is 24 out of 210. Reduce that to 4/35. Since we want at least 2, we need to then add these 2 probabilities together, these 2 to have, because we want at least 2. So that means we have to have 90 plus 210 plus, at least 2. That also means we need to add this first one, because we could then have that possibility of all of them being good. So then 1 out of 210 plus 24 out of 210, which will give me, added together and reduced, that should give me 23 out of 42. One last thing, if we are going to multiply on probability, just a quick reminder, let's say if we want to, what is the probability that we clicked land on heads once? That's once. What if we do it twice? Well, we have to multiply our property. And then what if we do it 3 times? That we have to multiply. What if we wanted to land, flip a coin to have it land on heads 4 times? We'd have to multiply this. So 2 times 2, that makes 4, 8, 16. So 1 out of 16 times that we will land a coin with heads 4 times.